The Archdiocese of Mexico says any Mexican company wanting to work on the border wall is betraying their country. An editorial printed yesterday says Mexican companies have expressed interest in helping to build the wall. The church and the Mexican government both have spoken out against it. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed an amicus brief today supporting President Trump's revised executive order on immigration. The filing states the president's new order is grounded in national security concerns and classifies aliens according to nationality, not religion. 11 other states' attorney general and the governor of Mississippi joined the brief. Joining us now is Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
You're here because you're on a congressional panel, is that correct?
That's correct, on health insurance and Obamacare. So we're just discussing with congressmen where we go from here.
Okay, you contend, based on this immigration order, that it is legal given his power over foreign affairs and national security. But judges in Hawaii and Maryland, they all say something else. Your amicus brief, friend of the court, it provides arguments that the court might want to consider. What impact do you think this is going to have?
So we're hopeful that the court will actually look at the law, because we specifically cite statute, federal law, where Congress gave the authority to the president to restrict the entry of any class of aliens that he determines is detrimental to the country. And so he has explicit authority under federal law. We feel like the court's focused on religion and constitutional law that doesn't apply to non-resident aliens.
I thought what was interesting that you said is that it's religion. It is not about religion, but it is about being an alien.
It's about nationality. So it's the 6 countries that were explicitly mentioned by the Obama administration, also by Congress, when they were dealing with the visa program. So what this administration is doing is just relying on the very same class status that previous administration relied on.
But even if you file this friend of the court brief, what's going to happen?
Hey, we don't know. We're just hoping. We just want the argument out there that this needs to be based on federal law, not a new constitutional right given to people who don't live in our country, have never been here. They don't satisfy constitutional protection, and so we want to make sure the court gets it right.
Okay. You believe that the executive order could fix the vetting process. You've said we have a big problem with that. How would it do that?
So we have been concerned for several years about refugees coming from countries that have activity with terrorism, and so we're concerned because we don't know who's coming into our state, and we have no way of vetting, and so we've encouraged the federal government, if you're going to bring people into our state, we're happy to help. We're happy to be involved, but we're very concerned about having people in our state that we don't know anything about that potentially come in with terrorist ties.
Well, you're right on the border with Mexico. What difference would the executive order make specifically in Texas?
Well, so we've had many Syrian refugees come in. We've probably relocated more Syrian refugees than any other state, and that's been where our concern has been. Not so much the Mexican question is a whole different issue. This is dealing with countries that have a history of terrorism, and we're asking our federal government, please protect our citizens. If at the very least, let us know who you're sending to our state so that we can protect them.
We just heard that the Archdiocese in Mexico is basically saying, do not work on that wall. Mexicans are being told not to do that. What role would Texas play in building this wall?
So we don't have a specific role. Now, you'll notice, and many people don't notice, we already have a wall in El Paso. And that wall has made a significant difference. El Paso is one of the safest cities, if not the safest city in America. It has been for years. Before that wall was built between Juarez, which has a history of high crime, there was a lot of crime, and so it has made a difference. And so the benefit to our state is reducing crime, reducing drug cartel threats, and potentially preventing a lot of bad activity.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ken Paxton, Texas Attorney General. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me in. I appreciate it.